Welcome to Rebel Speak and Be Encouraged. And I want to speak an encouraging word to you that I feel this, we are getting through something. We're getting through something much more than just what's met the eye. There's something God is crafting, God's domain. God has crafted a space for God's self in your heart, mind, life, imagination. You know, there's that God's extended God's space, the space in you that God occupies. There's been something in your persevering that has been establishing such beautiful space for God. You're saying yes in the midst of every way that things have been crooked and crazy, and you've said yes. And you might like, oh, that wasn't a very, I don't want to say very sexy yes. It was a flailing yes. It was I don't know, yes. I was saying yes, but I was crawling yes. No, it was yes. It was yes. And yes, the yes to God does great things in us. Our little yes to God does great things. That real yes, that yes that sustains in the midst of thinking, I'm going to not make it. I'm going to fall apart. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to, I don't know what. I'm going to scream. I'm going to lose perspective. But I just keep saying yes. I keep saying yes. I keep saying yes. And that yes to God just grows this space of salvation, that God manifests God's self, God's kingdom in and through your life, and it's glorious. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine, this is Matthew 7, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice, that's what you've been doing. You've been putting the words of salvation into practice. You're hanging in there. You're moving forward. You're saying yes to situations that would be so much easier to say no. Turn your back and run. Nope, you didn't. Who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise person who built her house on the rock. Built their house on the rock. You've done that. You're building your house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose. There was a bit of a storm. The rain came down and the streams rose and the winds blew and beat against that house. Some of our houses have taken such a beating. Here's the line, yet it did not fall. You're like, I don't know, it was blowing. It felt like, no, it didn't fall. You're still standing. Whoa, you're still standing. It did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. You and I are in the midst of truly meeting one greater than I. It's like, all my life I've heard rumors of you. Oh God, I found out you're real. I have found out these past 18 months of my life, you're real. You're not just a cool rumor. You're not just this possibility that some people seem to know. No, I've found you real. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundations on the rock. Its foundations on the rock. Here we go. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish person who built their house on the sand. The rain came down, same circumstances. The stream rose up, same circumstances. And the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a crash. Now, I don't wish that. I don't think any of us wish that. I think as we grow, in God, we don't wish that for anyone. We don't wish that for anyone. But there's something about the still standing reality in our lives that I want to celebrate. I mean it. To the core. I want to celebrate it. Like, no, we've gotten through something. We've gotten through something, and it's wonderful. You and I, right now, we know more about God. Because there's something about head knowledge, and that's great. Like saying yes to God and saying, okay, I want to be about the purposes of you, God. I'm interested in you. And there's that other thing where I'm saying yes to God. I'm saying yes to God. And the fallout feels brutal. And it's not like God's just crushing in on our life, right? Like there's that, what is the land? Oh my goodness. And when they're in Egypt At some point, the things that are happening to the Egyptians aren't happening to, it starts with a G, but anyway, where the Israelites live, things don't happen there that happen where the Egyptians live. And sometimes there's things that in Christ, we don't walk through things. There's things we don't experience. But there's something in this story that no, there's these winds that blow. There's these brutal bits of reality. And our house stands. And I want to say to you, I don't drink, but I'm going to drink a toast. I'm going to drink a toast to that part of you that discovered her standing in that double entendre. You discovered yourself standing. You're standing, knowing who you are in Christ. I discovered my standing, and I am standing. I know who I am in Christ. And I know that wind can blow. I know this house can take quite the beating. And I just like to say it, and she's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. And if you're a he, all right. I'm okay. I'm okay. In fact, I'm more than okay. Have you ever had that where like something at maybe a car accident? One time I really had this, I can still remember it, where Risa, my daughter, who's now 25, was 4 months old, and it was in the rain, and we were in a Bucky, a pickup, and we went, going to the Glendale Galleria, I remember that, to meet a good friend of mine, and we lost, right, we just started spinning, and we spun across all 4 lanes, and almost hit the barrier wall, and then we spun back across, and then there was an entrance with no cars in it, and the truck landed with the front. And there were men working there in the rain, and the amounts that drive up, and I remember my legs shaking crazy, like I'd just gone. I mean, it was like, to me, very miraculous, because there were cars everywhere. It wasn't like it was a day absent of cars, and somehow I spun with my little baby plane. I remember she liked it. She thought it was fun, that movement. She was laughing, no control, all the way across. And there's the barrier wall, and then we don't hit it, and then we're spinning back like a boomerang. And then I had to drive up. The man was like, come up. My leg was closed. That entrance was closed. And I drove up, and then I can still remember it. It doesn't matter. I'm kind of there. But all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I'm still standing. Oh my gosh. We're still standing. We're still standing. We're still standing, and we know something about who God is, and we know something about who we are in God. We know some things. Take courage, that great song. She says, take courage, he's in the waiting. Take courage, he's in the standing. Take courage, he's in the covenant. Take courage, he's in the goodness. Take courage, he's in the kindness. Take courage. Ooh, I just feel to say this to you. You are a person of influence and power. And the world can do all kinds of things with those words. I personally am not very attracted to what the world does with those words. Just not. It's kind of like not what I'm looking for. Like in Wizard of Oz, I say it all the time. What was given to the Scarecrow, what was given to the Tin Men, wasn't going to do what Dorothy was needing. There's so much about what this world, how it claps and applauds for itself. It's just not interesting to me. I want to see God move, and I want to see God move in ways that speak into, touch lives, speak meaning and purpose where so much of this world has spoken no value, no purpose, no meaning. Cool. The ways that the world makes peace with itself. Still, while it's speaking language as if it's not the case, but that's okay. I'm not at war. I'm not at war with the powers that be, the powers and principalities. They're what they are. I just want to say this. There's a dedicating of our lives that we have incurred. A dedicating of our lives that say, God, I'm on that rock. And as the winds blow and a lot of things, we've seen a lot of things fall. We've seen a lot of mindsets be confused. We've seen a lot of things implode, and I believe we'll continue to see that. You and I are there going, wow, I just want to do high fives. Like, no! We've picked that better portion. The goodness of God. I just feel this. I'm going to just say this. Like, you're going to see God manifesting in your life at such precious places. Things, I don't know. I just see some of you that, like, you're wanting to see things in your family life. I just want to say that, like, you have been really righteous and you wanted more, even maybe perhaps from a mate, like wanted more, like something, like there's something, you have such a heart and desire for family. You're wanting to see something beautiful. And it just feels kind of like, okay, sometimes we see that and sometimes it's, you've been holding, if you will, holding down the fort. And there's been something in your husband that's just even, like, I can say he's been trying, but there's just something that's not quite, like, almost like maybe a bit of ridicule. Maybe you've underwent some ridicule in this season, where he just can't kind of trust God's goodness. He's not going to destroy it, but he's not going to lean into it. And there's going to be something that your righteousness and your standing, you're going to see so much sweetness and goodness, the desires of your heart for something precious in your family. Like maybe even you didn't know that. And there's something in the desire of your heart for something precious for family that you've aligned your whole life up for that. And I just want to say, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. Do not underestimate the power of your own expectation and the integrity of your heart and the way that you've chosen that more. You've chosen more. And God is flourishing. I just want to say that to you. God is flourishing the yearning of your heart. You're going to see things established that it says taste and see and know that God's good. You're going to taste and see and know within the economy of your family the love and goodness and delight and laughter of God. You have not, I want to say that, labored in vain. You have not labored in vain. And that sweet man is going to come alongside and say, thank you. Thank you. Because something in my storyline had me not able to, be cynical. And they're going to say, thank you. There's going to be a sweetness you've established in righteousness. Christ through you. God is faithful. God is faithful to those deep, deep, deep desires. I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. I feel to say, I want to encourage you in kindness. Like where you've walked in kindness. The world can just say, well, what is kindness? Kindness is power. Kindness is power. Be blessed, be encouraged.